Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Hell, wait till you have those half-pound Wagyu burgers. Best I've ever had, certainly will likely be the best you've ever had as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, and a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild, Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets. Thanks for joining us there, as well as Hotel TV where applicable. And also on Pick Your Favorite Streamer and also on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us over there as well. Fun group, talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes, make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Join that group and have some fun. And by the way, our friends over at Vacation Buddies are giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to this very simple trivia question. Which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Again, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want you to have a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to that very, very simple trivia question. 888-576-5777. If you know the answer, call now. In the last show, we were talking a little bit about football, and we're going to go ahead and sort of pick up on that just a little bit because there's a lot going on in the football world as we look at it, where it stands today. And outside of the standings and what's going on with these games, I want to talk about a couple of things real quick, which I'm not wild about a particular story here or a particular story there. It just, these are the kinds of things that don't really drive this program, where you'll pick your favorite show on your favorite network on television or listen on the radio, and everybody will talk about the latest news and this, that, and the other. So, like, for example, this one, the Mark Sanchez saga. So, obviously, ex-NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez now is facing a felony charge for his role in an incident that led to an arrest. I mean, this is gossip and drama and all this other nonsense. Look, I get it, folks. I get it. People want to hear about stuff like this despite the fact that Mark isn't playing anymore. So the NFL reposted something by the Associated Press, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the upshot of it, what the NFL says that the AP says. So former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez is now facing a felony charge of battery involving serious bodily injury, in addition to the misdemeanor charges stemming from a weekend incident in Indianapolis that led to his arrest. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears made the announcement about the new charge, which carries a potential sentence of 1 to 6 years in prison, during a news conference with Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department Chief Chris Bailey. So Mears said the investigation is ongoing and said, quote, one of the challenges you have in a case like this is that you're dealing with individuals who are receiving medical care, and that's obviously the most important thing. that individuals are treated appropriately. But once we are provided with additional information about the victim's current medical condition, it becomes clear to us that additional charges needed to be filed, close quote. Now, Sanchez had been scheduled for a court hearing recently, and that was on the original charge. And of course, that was now rescheduled to November 4. Sanchez remains hospitalized and was listed in stable condition because he was stabbed, I guess, multiple times. And one of Sanchez's attorneys, we're not going to say the names because there's really no reason to, one of the attorneys had declined to comment on the case. And of course, Sanchez, Fox Sports analyst, was pepper sprayed and stabbed multiple times during a late night altercation in downtown Indianapolis alley. And that resulted in criminal charges against him, according to a court filing. Now, a police affidavit alleged that Sanchez, smelling of alcohol, accosted a 69-year-old truck driver who backed into a hotel's loading dock, leading to a confrontation outside the vehicle that prompted the driver to pull out a knife to defend himself. Sanchez was hospitalized with stab wounds to his upper right torso. The affidavit signed by a police detective had said that, and the truck driver, identified as P.T., had a cut to his left cheek, it said. So, Mears said his office received an amended probable cause affidavit, which led to the additional charge because the truck driver suffered serious injuries. And Mears said that, still gathering information, they have several outstanding warrants. Oh, that's right. So, Mears said, quote, "The chief and his team continue to work at this matter, continue to track down additional details for us, and really supplement that probable cause affidavit. I cannot say enough good things about the work that took place at the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. There's a ton of information to sift through and gather," close quote. So apparently, allegedly, what they're saying is, I guess Sanchez somehow is either a really bad guy according to them, or is in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not really sure how that works. I mean, when some guy backs into a dock, a truck driver. Now, my old man drove a truck for 40 years. And I guess the bigger question is, I mean, has I ever seen anything like that confrontational-wise when I've been out with my dad many, many, many times out on the truck? No, never have. So I would imagine that at some point, usually that there is some kind of event that would force the truck driver to, first of all, get out of his vehicle, because typically they don't get out of their vehicles. They are the biggest things on the road. And so the next question is, what happened so badly that the truck driver had to get out and defend himself? Now, that's the bigger question. So, yeah, there's a lot of information missing here, and I'm sure this one or that one is going to come up with their story or their take on it, whatever. And their takes don't matter. What matters is what the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department says. That's the only thing that matters, right? Because they're the ones that are allegedly gathering up the facts. And the question is, are they going to spin it because he is a Fox Sports analyst, or are they going to not spin it because he is a Fox Sports analyst? So there's a lot of considerations, a lot of questions, and I guess we have to think about what is real and what is editorial. And so the charges will be filed. Now, just because charges may be filed this way, that way, or the other way, it doesn't mean that the charges are going to stick. Because you got to remember, the burden of proof is always on the person making the assertion about this particular item or this particular item. So if you're going to say something, you better be able to prove it. So whether there are, I don't know, bits of evidence for Mark or against Mark, either way it's going to come out. And the worst part about it is Mark's a pretty good analyst on television, and unfortunately now it seems like there may be an interruption in some of that. I'm not really sure how that's playing out with Fox Sports and the NFL and so forth. But Mark was a quality quarterback as well. And unfortunately, he's known for the proverbial butt fumble, which that's not really fair to him, because Mark was a pretty good quarterback out of the University of Southern California, played with the Jets, played here, played there. And Mark was a good, serviceable quarterback. Hell, he's still young enough to play in the league today, given the fact that there are teams out there that are hunting for quarterbacks. Hence, there are opportunities. Maybe the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe not. I don't know. We're going to get into the Bengals in the next segment. But I guess my point in all of this, how do you decide to spin this story? Are you spinning it for particular products that would be purchased by a particular audience demographic? I guess that's really what we should be asking ourselves. As crazy as that sounds, these are considerations. So when they look at these TV contracts, they say, well, wait, this organization is putting in $1 billion into this organization. Okay, fine. But the bigger question is how do you get the public into a position where they can control some of the cost that they have to spend for television, subscription packages, or tickets at the gate, or concession, or parking, or whatever for these games? A lot of it goes back to the TV contracts. And why do the TV contracts matter? Because this is a television issue. This is what's Fox Sports and television as I see it. Now, I don't know if that is 100% certain, but what I do know is that there could be some influence somewhere in the grand scheme of things. And so why does it matter? Because each and every one of us that are listening to this, we like sports or we like entertainment, or one way or another, it affects our worlds. And it's up to us to determine, A, does it matter in the grand scheme of things from a broadcasting standpoint, whether Mark did this or Mark did that? And does it matter that we buy a product or service that supports or doesn't support a very particular political position or a position on this issue? So there's a lot of things to unpack there. I'm not going to go any further with it, but I had to mention it because, let's face it, whether you're listening to liberal or conservative or middle of the road broadcasting, whatnot, everybody's going to have their spin on it. Back here in a few minutes, and we're going to continue on and talk Bengals football in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates and everybody tuning in on the television. Big hello to our friends over in Atlanta listening in on WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us over there. And right down the road over in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, everybody driving home with us, listening in at 1230 on the AM dial from Montgomery, Alabama over to Columbus, Georgia. Thanks for tuning in with us over there as well. Throughout the heartland, out to the West Coast, everybody listening in on 101.5 and 107.3 FM between Las Vegas and Southern California. Highway Country Radio, home of the Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus. Of course, we can't really forget that one now, can we? All right. And also a big welcome into our friends in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets where applicable. And the same thing with Hotel TV. Thanks for joining us in those markets. Again, where applicable. Plus, everybody streaming on Pick Your Favorite Streamer. All right, now that we've got all that covered, by the way, if you're just tuning in, at the top of the show, we did mention a giveaway by Vacation Buddies, and they're giving away a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to this very, very simple trivia question, which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Again, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but yes, they want to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to that question, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right. Now, taking a quick updated look at the NFL standings. And as we look at the standings, we say, we talked about this with Tyrone Poole, two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior recently. And really, the contending teams in the AFC are starting to make their way to the top. And that would be Buffalo. And yes, we're going to throw New England in there. And they're going to be Pittsburgh only by default because the division's playing really bad right now. And Pittsburgh's playing, well, let's put it this way, literally just below average ball with that 3-1 record. Indianapolis at 4-1 seems to be playing pretty well, but Jacksonville just beat Kansas City. And Jacksonville is playing very, very good football. This is the Jacksonville team that we thought we were going to see with Trevor Lawrence and ETN and this guy and that guy and whatnot. These guys are good. They're very good. A little disappointed in Houston being under 500 right now. We'll see if they could bounce back. So the AFC South is actually a pretty good division, unlike the NFC South. And the AFC West with the Chargers and Broncos both at 3-2, and the Chiefs are at 2-3. Somehow they'll find their way back to normalcy. It's just what they do. And the Raiders in the toilet at 1-4. Over in the NFC, you've got some dominant clubs. Philadelphia would be one. Detroit would be another. And I hesitate to throw Green Bay or Minnesota in there. I'm just not sure on that. But let's face it, everybody in the NFC North is 500 or above, which, well, if you look at the AFC, there's no conference like that. You look at the balance of the NFC, there's no conference like that either. So I guess from top to bottom, the NFC North seems to be the most balanced division, but I really don't think that's the case. The NFC South is certainly the weakest with the Buccaneers than everybody else. And the NFC West has a couple of good teams, and the 49ers, if they could just play healthily. That's right, I said healthily. if they could stay healthy and they could play healthy. And we'll see what happens there. The Rams are playing pretty good ball. Seattle seems to be overshooting a little bit. Arizona at 2-3 they're a pretty good 2-3 team. So I would say that the NFC West is about even with the NFC North from top to bottom. If you look at the abilities and what their teams have done, these are some pretty good squads here. But I'm going to go right back to the AFC North, and I'm going to take a closer look at the Cincinnati Bengals, who seem to really be in a spot right now. They, yes, are 2-3 in second place. Second place doesn't mean anything at this point. But it's not the issue that they're one game under 500. It's the way that they're losing games and how they're losing them. And without Joe Burrow, it just seems like Cincinnati has some real questions. And it's easy to say, well, you're picking on them because they've lost a few games. And no, I'm not picking on them because of that. I'm looking at what the Bengals actually have to offer right now and what we've seen. And the part that concerns me is, well, frankly, I'm concerned outside of Joe Burrow. You have Jake Browning as your quarterback, who is a pretty good quarterback, but the system is not built for Jake Browning. So there is a problem there. And the bigger problem behind that is you say, is Brett Rippon going to get any looks? And Brett Rippon is a pretty good quarterback. He is active, but they just don't give him the playing time. So if you're not going to give the kid the playing time, and let's face it, Brett Rippon's been around for 7 years now. If you're not going to give him any playing time, why carry him on the roster? That's the biggest question. So as we look at this Bengals team, we say, well, what are they capable of? Well, they sure don't seem to play a whole heck of a lot of defense. And they seem to be trampled on by just about every team defensively. Let's face it, in 5 games, they've given up an average of 31.1 points per game. And that is almost the worst in the league, just behind the Baltimore Ravens. That's right. The only team worse in the AFC is Baltimore, and Baltimore's given up 177 points versus Cincinnati's 156. That's pretty bad. Well, better yet, we'll have to throw the New York Jets in there because they've given up 157. The point is they're in the toilet when it comes to defense. And you ask, can Cincinnati score enough points to stay in the game? Well, I'll tell you what, they're not really scoring a lot of points now. They're averaging somewhere around 17 points a game, thereabouts. That's not good. That's not championship football. That's not Super Bowl champion. That's nothing. These guys are scoring just about at the bottom of the NFC and the AFC combined. So in the entire National Football League, they're right there near the bottom with Cleveland, with Tennessee. I mean, bad teams. The New York Football Giants. That's how bad they are. So you have to ask, what is it that they're doing? Okay, they have a quarterback situation. Everybody knows it. And so it doesn't matter where you look at a story. Everyone's going to talk about what's going on with Zach Taylor, what's going on with the Cincinnati Bengals. And, I mean, let's face it. The Bengals, according to NFL.com, Bengals, Zach Taylor is evaluating options at quarterback after their third loss under Jake Browning. Well, no kidding. The problem is they didn't do that in the preseason. How could you go into camp with, well, let's face it, a couple of bona fide backups, but no backup as a starter behind a superstar like Joe Burrow? So NFL.com says the Cincinnati Bengals 3-game losing streak has prompted questions regarding their current starting quarterback. Head coach Zach Taylor isn't ruling out considering alternatives to back up Jake Browning, telling reporters that the team will evaluate its options at the position ahead of their next game against Green Bay. And Taylor said, quote, "We'll see where it goes. Like all personnel decisions, we've got to evaluate it. Jake's been very accountable for how the game went for him. I've got to be accountable for how the game went for me as well. So we'll continue to progress here through the days," close quote. So although the numbers, say 80 for 124, 757 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 70.5% passer rating, that's really what it's been, but it doesn't really explain the whole story. But Browning has really struggled since taking over for Joe Burrow. And think about the idea that, well, the Washington product and past Bengals hero and has been tasked with operating an offense that doesn't pose a threat on the ground and include a leaky offensive line that would make life difficult for almost any quarterback. So again, this was not built for Jake Browning. In fact, he has been forced to resort to basically throwing up jump balls, 50-50 balls towards Chase and Higgins, and that's really what's been going on. And so when they've been coming down with it, hey, great news, but it's a far cry from how the Bengals manufactured success with Browning at the controls a couple of years ago when he was 4-3 in 7 starts. Bad news for the Bengals fans, the other options don't inspire much hope. Brett Rippon is listed as Browning's backup, while Mike White, that's right, while veteran Mike White and Penn State product Sean Clifford reside on the team's practice squad. All right, so really they don't have a lot of choices here. Of the three, White has the most success on his resume, completing 62.2% of his passes for 2,145 yards, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions in 8 games with the New York Jets before fading into the backup role in Miami and Buffalo. And Jets fans might remember White for injecting some life into their squad in 2021, 22, but that's about all White can really point towards when making his case for another opportunity. So why carry him? He's on the practice squad. We're going to come back with this in just a few minutes on The Circus. Don't go anywhere.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. They can be found on the partners page at thesportscircus.com, along with many others. Again, that's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't get over there for some great food, check them out online, and you could pick up yours, yes, through delivery at alsbeef.com. Read about alsbeef.com, and you can read about the creation of the Italian beef sandwich 117 years ago by the Ferrara family. They are the ones that created it. They opened up their restaurant in 1938, and they're still doing it today down in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef. Very good friends of the circus with incredible food. All right, welcome back to everybody. You know who you are, TV and radio, streaming. Everybody on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, YouTube, you name it, we're there. You can't get away from us there either. Just like Chicago Food Favorites, check them out, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Fun group, talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, now in the last segment, we're talking a little bit about the Bengals' choices because they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel there with a couple of broken Coke machines, a bag of balls, and whatnot. Joe Burrow's on the shelf. He'll probably be on the shelf through the year, I'm going to guess. And you got Jake Browning, who was thrown into the fire, but then again, that's his gig. That's what he's doing. And so the team is not built around him. It's built around Joe Burrow and what he does. And so Jake Browning is really trying to put a fire out with a water pistol at this point. And then you have the bigger question with Zach Taylor. What's Zach Taylor actually evaluating when he is the coach? He's supposed to be doing what he's supposed to be doing. And I'm not so sure that he's doing a great job. But then again, I don't do what he does. So who knows? He's got a couple of choices. He's got Rippon as a backup to Browning that he could try. And look, Rippon's appeared in 11 games in his 5 seasons and thrown for 950 yards, 4 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And Clifford hasn't seen an NFL field since 2023, yet another backup to a backup to a backup kind of thing. And so you ask yourself, what in the world are they going to do? I mean, look, that's how rough things are for the Bengals right now. Losers of 3 straight with an offense that has created, or better yet, I wouldn't say created much. They have really cratered without Joe Burrow, and a defense that has been even worse. And that has nothing to do with Joe Burrow for the most part. So unless, obviously, the offense is 3 and out, then the defense stays on the field a lot, then they get tired and so forth. But, look, they made the final score of their last loss against Detroit somewhat respectable, but that doesn't matter. A loss is a loss is a loss. Bengals were essentially out of their Week 5 game halfway through the third, trailing 28-3 before finding, I guess, the garbage time. Oh, wow, just convenient enough to do what? To cover the point spread.
Show me the money!
It's always like that, folks. How convenient is that? Anyway, after that 2-0 start, the Bengals are in the midst of a very sharp decline in a division that remains pretty winnable. And thanks to Baltimore. Baltimore at an abysmal 1-5 right now. And defensively, they look awful. And likely sensing this opportunity and feeling the pressure that comes with an ugly losing streak, Taylor is willing to explore alternate avenues if it makes a little bit of sense. And so you say, all right, who has what available, right? So we do a handy-dandy search. We'll go NFL quarterbacks available, right? So let's do that. Let's go NFL quarterbacks available. All right, I'm going to do this with you. And let's just see who is available right now. And this is according to Pick Your Favorite search engine. Mine rhymes with noodle. And so what quarterbacks are available? Well, let's face it. You've got a few of them. Well, and what I'm really after are the free agents, the guys that are not signed with anybody right now. So let's go NFL free agents, NFL free agent quarterbacks. How's that? Free agent quarterbacks. Okay, still available. Let's go there. All right, so I look on mine, and they say on that search engine, they say Nate Sudfeld, John Wolford, Taylor Heineke, who's actually a pretty good quarterback, Kyle Trask, not terrible, Clayton Tune, don't know him, Dorian Thompson, Robinson, forget it, Tim Boyle, and Bryce Perkins. Out of those, I think Taylor Heineke actually is a reasonable quarterback. But let's take it a step further. Never mind that search engine. Let's take a look at something else here. So now I'm looking at, on Spot Track, the 2025 quarterbacks free agents. All right, so we look at those one-year deals, the ones that are sitting out there, and the teams that are not really in a bunch of contention. So let's focus on those players that are in the middle of one-year deals, and let's take a look at those right now. We'll see which ones are in good situations and not. All right, so the Colts have a one-year deal with Daniel Jones. He's not going anywhere. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He's not going anywhere with Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson is a possibility because of Jackson Dart. He's on a one-year deal, and these are two teams in different conferences altogether. So the possibility of making a deal for a trade, maybe a fifth-round pick or something like that, and then the Bengals would have to eat the $10.5 million contract or what's remaining for Russell Wilson, that's sitting out there. And then there's also the potential of Marcus Mariota, who is with Washington. And let's face it, he does get some looks every now and then, but he's been around for quite a long time, and Mariota could do a reasonable job. Now, the bigger question is what happens with Zach Wilson? I think Zach Wilson stays exactly where he's at behind Tua, because Tua doesn't seem to be the most dependable guy when it comes to staying healthy because he's had so many injuries. And I really doubt that the Cleveland Browns are going to make a deal in their division and get rid of Joe Flacco. I really don't think so. I just can't see it. But looking down at these other 1 and 2 year deals, those are all 1 year deals. Here's more 1 year deals. Kyle Trask, we already mentioned. He's sitting behind Baker Mayfield over in Tampa. And Taylor Heineke's sitting back behind, what's his face, over there in with the Chargers. And I always want to call them the San Diego Chargers. All right, so he's sitting behind their starting quarterback. Case Keenum is an interesting guy because he's sitting third on the depth chart in Chicago. And Keenum didn't even get a look last year anywhere. And so Keenum just sitting there, and the Bears and Bengals could make a deal. Now, those two teams play each other November 2nd. So watch and see if Case Keenum doesn't make a deal with the Bears to get out, because let's face it, the salary is $2.25 million, which in today's sports, that's not terribly much. So that might be a real possibility to get Case Keenum. And looking down the trough here, Trey Lance sitting over there with the Chargers as well. He is sitting behind that really good starting quarterback over there, which the name just slips me for a moment here. All right, so Trey Lance is out there, who had started some games for the 49ers. But I would think Case Keenum so far sounds the best, and Taylor Heineke right behind him. Now, moving on, I think the Vikings need to hang on to Carson Wentz in case something happens to McCarthy again. And I don't believe that Josh Johnson for the Washington Commanders, of course, I always want to call them the Redskins, I don't think he is going to be on anybody's radar, nor Brandon Allen with Tennessee. I just don't really see that one. Is Easton Stick going to go anywhere? For Atlanta, I don't know, because remember, you've got a horrific draft pick, in my opinion, with Michael Penix Jr., only to basically get benched by the quarterback that's supposed to be their starting quarterback that signed the $100 million deal anyway. And so I don't see Atlanta with an attractive offer out of Easton Stick. I don't really like that one. And Ehlinger with the Broncos, no. Kyle Allen with Detroit, no. Tim Boyle with Tennessee, no. Teddy Bridgewater, yes. There's a possibility. Teddy Bridgewater sitting there in third position for the Buccaneers. So Bridgewater and Keenum are probably the two most attractive picks. Then you've got Woodside with the Saints, another one with the Browns and Tyler Huntley. I don't see that as being reasonable. Gardner Minshew sitting behind Patrick Mahomes is not going anywhere unless Bailey Zapp is the guy that jumps in front of him. Otherwise, if Zappy is in there, then maybe he could go. The problem is you have to think about who else is really available. And I got to tell you, folks, after all those names, the only names that really strike a reasonable chord are Teddy Bridgewater, because he's had a starting role in the league, and I would argue that Case Keenum, and if not those two, Taylor Heineke. That's the three teams. It's going to be the Chargers, the Bears, or the Buccaneers, where I believe that the Bengals could actually get themselves a quarterback. But even if they get a good quarterback, or they get a reasonable or serviceable quarterback, what it doesn't do is it doesn't fix their defense. They seem to have a gaping hole out there in center field, playing the safety position, and it seems as though their second level isn't very good. They don't stop the run very well either. So do the Bengals just tear it down defensively and just rebuild defensively, or do you go out and buy it? You're going to have to actually buy it, I think, because you got the highest paid quarterback in football in Joe Burrow, and then you just paid Hendrickson a bunch of money. You also paid Jamar Chase a bunch of money. T. Higgins get money. Look, the Bengals are all in. They're going to have to go buy themselves a solution somewhere, but I think their defensive solution is a bigger problem than the offensive solution. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus to wrap it up. Don't go anywhere.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com's upcoming guest or prior guests, our recorded shows, which can be found on all those streaming platforms. Also, check out the store. Lots of great items at the store. Yes, holiday season's coming up. Hats, hoodies, t-shirts, pants, coats, beanie hats, baseball caps, travel mugs, pillows, coffee mugs, all kinds of great items with the Clever Sports Circus logo on it. If you don't know what the Sports Circus logo is, email at info@thesportscircus.com and we'll tell you exactly what that is. There's always a hidden something or another, but it's actually kind of cool. So again, everything has the Sports Circus logo on it, and that is the store tab right across the top of the sportscircus.com. And remember, we've got to pay bills just like you, so hey, a shameless plug for the circus. All right, welcome back to everybody on TV, radio, streaming. You know who you are. And in the last segment, we talked a little bit about options for the Cincinnati Bengals. And let's face it, there was really high expectations for them when it comes to Super Bowl and everything else and whatnot. And, well, obviously the odds have dropped off dramatically. And I'm going to take a quick snapshot of what these NFL championship winner odds look like, and that's, of course, for the Super Bowl, with the Bills leading the way right now as it stands, believe it or not. And this is with BetMGM, and they've got Buffalo at plus 450 or 4.5 to 1. The Detroit Lions are 7 to 1. The Kansas City Chiefs are at 8 to 1. That's kind of a lofty number right now. Green Bay 8.5 to 1, an overstated price. The Eagles are a good buy at 7.5 to 1 right now. The 49ers 17 to 1, Rams 17 to 1, the Colts 22 to 1, Commanders 22 to 1, Baltimore 2001. That number is going to jump up even higher. It's going to probably go up to about 25 to 1, I'm going to guess. Chargers 18 to 1. That's a really good buy. The Broncos 22 to 1. That's a really good buy as well. The Bucs quietly sitting at 22 to 1. The Bucs are 4-1 and nobody seems to know it. The Jags, there's another really good buy at 50 to 1. Is it worth putting $5 on it? Let me tell you something. I did $5. I put a $5 bet on the Texas Rangers a couple of years ago, preseason, to win the World Series, and I got them exactly at the same price at 50 to 1. And yes, it came in. That's right. I did a special show on it, whatnot. Sat there and looked at the ticket every day in the summer, just wait and see if the Texas Rangers would hold on. And sure enough, they found themselves into the playoffs. They won the division, and they end up winning the World Series. But 50 to 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars is one hell of a price. They've got pieces, and if you don't like them at 50 to 1, you got a couple of others here. You got a few others. You've got the Houston Texans at 50 to 1. They will bounce back. They will be competitive. And then you have Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers at 50 to 1. Mind you, these are all MGM Resorts International bets. That's their sports book, BetMGM, whatever. All right, they're at 50 to 1. The Seahawks are at 50 to 1. And how about Drake May and the Patriots? That's right. Those guys who just went into Buffalo, who are the Super Bowl odds-on favorite, and they beat Buffalo on their field. They're at 60 to 1. The Vikings at a really good price at 60 to 1 as well. And then we start getting into the questionable teams. Atlanta 80 to 1, as they should be. The Cowboys 80 to 1. If you're some kind of a crazy dreamer, 80 to 1 is a great price. The Bears, my beloved Bears, are 125 to 1, and that's just basically flushing money down the toilet. The Cardinals that are 150 to 1, but boy, you'll get your some excitement watching the Cardinals. The Browns are 750 to 1. The Panthers are 500 to 1. How the Dolphins are 750 to 1, I'll never know, because they do have some pieces down there. Oh, that's right. Tyreek Hill went down for the season. So maybe that's why. The Bengals show at 500 to 1, and it's probably going to be a bigger number because the Raiders are even at 750 to 1. The Saints, 1,000 to 1. The New York Football Giants, 750 to 1. The Titans are at 1,000 to 1, and the Jets have the longest shot, even though they're tied with the Titans at 1,000 to 1, along with the Saints. So maybe you're not into, I don't know, picking the Super Bowl champion. Maybe you're looking for the divisional odds, right? Let's try that one. So out of the divisional odds, we'll start with the NFC East. Well, it is the Eagles at a minus 200, basically a 2 to 1, put up 200 to win 100. And then the Commanders are at a plus 210. So you put up 100 to win 210. Not bad. Cowboys put up 100 to win 1,000, and the Giants, big number, of course, put up 100 to win 12,500, which is a pretty unrealistic number. Over in the NFC West, it looks like the 49ers somehow are the favorites still, despite their injuries. Put up 100 to win, well, better yet, to put up 125 to win 100. The Rams are at 2 to 1. The Seahawks 5 to 1. Cardinals at 30 to 1. Now, over in the NFC North, if you're just thinking division, and the NFC North is one of those really interesting ones because you never know what's going to happen with Green Bay with that tie. So the Lions are at even money, put up 100 to win 100. The Packers are at plus 120, so you put up 100 to win 120. The Vikings, big drop-off, put up 100 to win 1,000. I'm not so sure why the Vikings are at that price because the Vikings have an adequate offense and they have a pretty good defense. So 1,000 to 1, boy, that seems like a pretty good price to win the division. It's a very winnable division. Everyone says, well, it's going to be the Detroit Lions and they have all the pieces. Maybe so, but the Vikings will certainly have something to say about it. The Bears at 22 to 1, forget that one. Over the NFC South, it's going to be the Bucs and everybody else. But somehow, the Bucs are at, you put up 400 to win 100. I get that. But the Atlanta Falcons put up 100 to win 400. Those odds should be 5 times the number because Atlanta's really bad. And I would argue that the Carolina Panthers are probably in the same group, and they're at 16 to 1. Put up 100 to win 1,600. And the Saints are an abysmal 40 to 1. So let's say you don't want anything in the NFC, you want to go over to the AFC, and let's take a look at the AFC East with the Bills put up 475 to win 100. The Patriots put up 100 to win 350. And the Dolphins are at 1,000 to 1, and the Jets are at infinity at that point. It just doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. Over in the AFC West, very, very tough division. It is the Chargers and the Broncos, both at plus 175. So put up 100 to win 175. Not bad. The Chiefs sitting right behind them at plus 190. So you got 3 teams that are very good over there. Then, of course, you have the Raiders. So moving on past the AFC West, let's take a look at the AFC North. So the AFC North is a very winnable division, and somehow at 1-4, at 1 win against 4 losses, it's the Ravens that are still the odds-on favorite to win the division. Imagine that. Put up 100 to win 105. And the Steelers, who are in first, the Steelers are plus 110. Longer odds for the Pittsburgh Steelers to win the division. I'm not really sure why that is. Then you go to the Bengals and Browns, and they're both in the toilet. But to me, boy, that doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense at all. And finally, we'll finish up with the AFC South. And it's looking like the Jags and Colts and the Texans are going to be right around the same price. But right now, if you're betting on any one of those 3, I mean, look, the Jags look really good. They're at a plus 155 right now. And the Texans are at 5.5 to 1, right? Put up 100 to win 550. That's pretty good. While the Colts, you got to put up 115 to win 100. So if you're a betting person, well, it seems that the Jags are a pretty good price, but the Texans are really the good buy in there. And the Texans have played very well with C.J. Stroud since he's been in the league. So I would venture to guess that the Texans would be a really good buy over there. And so, look, we can run through all of these scenarios. There's so many scenarios. It's crazy. But as we look at the overall betting and how it influences games, well, in my opinion, I believe the games are absolutely, unequivocally compromised. Yes! And I think that money is a big part of everything. When people ask me, how does Sal the bookmaker make his picks? Well, what he does, I'm talking about myself in a third person, which is ridiculous to imagine, but what I do is I follow the money. You've heard me say it 100 times on the show. Actually, you've been listening for the last decade. You've heard me say it 1,000 times because I even had a show called Place Your Bet. And that show, of course, what do? We talked about what? Betting, following the money, understanding how to follow the money. Now, if you know that you've got an opening line of X, we'll say -7, whatever, in a football game, and then the line drops. Okay, so now people are betting. They're saying, you know what, we're going to take that 7. All right, so now it drops 6.5, drops to 6, whatever. But then the late money says, well, wait, we could still lose with 6.5. We're going to go ahead and bet the favorite because all they got to do is win by a touchdown, because then they're still going to win by the hook. Well, the reality is the money is going to fluctuate the line. So the opening line is the true line by the odds makers. And so when the whales come in, they put enough money on a particular side, they move the line. And if you're betting, if you're a betting person, like I mentioned, you're watching the money movement, but you got to know how to watch it. You got to know where to watch it. You can't just watch it online. You physically have to be present, for example, in a particular casino or a sports book that is driving the line for other venues. And if you don't know how to watch that, then you may want to email info@thesportscircus.com and ask me a little bit more information on how I do what I do. And yeah, over years, I've sold the information on how to do X, Y, and Z, or what my opinions were on this game and that game, and I've done quite well with it. But at the end of the day, you've got to know what you're looking at. So I don't care if you're betting on a divisional game. Look, it's hard enough to pick one winner, let alone more than one. So people say, I want a 2-team, 3-team, 4-team, 5-team parlay, whatever. Look, it's hard enough to just pick one. And that's why place your bet is really what this is about. Placing a bet. Don't pick more than one because it's hard enough just to win one. And then when you win it, you just take it and you bask in the ambiance. Don't get stupid and go keep betting and betting and betting. Eventually what's going to happen, well, the odds are going to end up eating you up and they're going to end up taking all your money. It's just because people don't seem to understand that they just can't win all the time. Well, I'm on a hot streak. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep winning and winning. No, you're not. That's why the lights right here in Las Vegas are very, very bright, because people will continually chase their money. Oh, well, I'm bound to even up on this one. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's the reality. So you make educated decisions. If you're betting division, you're betting Super Bowl, you're betting this, you're betting that. You've got to know what the hell you're looking at, especially when it comes to these games. These are professional games. Even at the college ranks, they're still professional. And at the end of the day, you've just got to know which way the money is going. And if you want to know more, again, info@thesportscircus.com. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the show today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you soon, right back here, 23 hours, as a matter of fact, on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.